What if the key to everything you want is easier than you think? Better money, better clients, less work, easier to market, easier to get leads, better prices, higher prices, a wait list. All of that stuff is easier to get than you think. But there is something hiding in your own psyche stopping you having it. This is what we're going to talk about this week. And it's about becoming that category of one authority, that place where you are sufficiently different from your competitors. You have something unique to offer that stands out. You don't feel like you're talking the same things everybody else is saying. And importantly, clients want to do it your way. And so you find you're not competing on price anymore. You're not competing with other people anymore. That's the place you want to be. And it's about becoming that category of one. And today I'm going to break down the kind of architecture of what you need to do to actually do this. And, many people listening to me are business owners. Some of you are, salespeople. Some of you are marketing leaders. And some of you are CEOs of global companies. These principles apply in every one of those roles. Because when you go online, people are, or you are forcing your three-dimensional self into a very one-dimensional or even two-dimensional world. And so it's hard for people to remember things. It's hard for people to latch on to things. And it's hard for people, for your message to stick. And one of the things that causes people so much frustration about social media is that feeling of, one, I can't quite get my message out in the way I want it to. I can't quite get it to land. And that impacts their lead generation. It impacts their content. It impacts everything they do. And so category of one fixes this too. Because the idea behind this is when you start to narrow down your focus, the authority you build, the influence you build compounds. So you don't need as big a crowd to get results. Many people are appealing far too broadly and making zero impact and getting frustrated with it. Actually, you can sell a lot better, a lot smarter. What do they call it? The Slipstream Effect, where your marketing, your delivery, and your sales all fuel each other. It's all joined up. And so you can build this machine that is light to run, but actually very profitable to run. But it means on whatever socials you're going to go on to do this, you have to stop being a generalist, a general practitioner, and become a world-class specialist. World-class specialist. Specialists get the highest respect. They get asked to speak. They get the best clients. They charge premium fees. They focus on, their focus basically breeds, I want to work with them. They're the top of the tree. That means, and the uncomfortable bit is, if you want all of what I've just talked about, you have to be prepared for the uncomfortable part of being a specialist. And that means closing the door to the majority. Shutting the door on opportunities that do not align with your specialism. Stopping and halting your hedging of your activity where you'll talk about multiple different things in the hopes that you can split yourself three ways, which you know isn't working. You know it already isn't working. You know that in your head you cannot give the attention and time to developing a brand that carries those three or four different things you want to do. Now, because you're stuck there where you can't quite close the door to some things, but you don't have the bandwidth to actually develop all those four things, you are stuck in a permanent state of limbo, not really moving forward, not really going backwards, just stuck. But here's the powerful thing. If you close the door to three of those four things and go all in on one of them, you'll actually create the momentum, the compounding effect that will give you the money, the time, the bandwidth, the resources to open the door to the other three later. you have to close the door to the other opportunities for a period, which is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good, but you're choosing to close the door for a time whilst you get something profitable. So I want to walk you through my category of one framework of what you need to do to actually make the serious money, make it easier for you, get the better clients, all of that stuff we talked about. Number one, you've got to pick one observable, significant, ongoing challenge directly tied to the big human drivers, which are, let's be honest, money, growth, legacy, financial freedom, all of those kind of human driver wants. Now, yes, you can provide corporate services or anything like that, but it has to be tied to a human driver. Money, status are the big ones, but health is another one. You're looking to tie it to one of those big, big wants. Yeah. When you become the master of solving one highly specific, high-stakes problem, the market naturally will look to you as the authority for that. So what you're doing is choosing to brand yourself by the problem you solve. And that problem is linked to a very high instinctive human desire, a want that is deep in our human psyche, because that's what people will pay for. They'll pay to solve the wants, not necessarily their needs. So it has to be mapped to a want. So one problem, one specific painful problem that you want to become known by. Oh, yeah, that Dean, he helps people do that. You need to know what that is. Then you need an audience. And the audience, the broader you go with the audience, the harder this will be. The narrower you go, the easier. So think about within the people you can help solve that problem, right? Within that problem, there are different people who have that problem. Some people who have that problem, who have a lot of money and are motivated to pay for it. Some people who are sat on the fence. Some people have no money. Think about who values that problem being solved the most. Yeah. Look for the people who will pay for that solution, because you can't cater to the whole market with that problem. Often what we assume is that because I only solved one problem, that one problem is the same for everybody. It's the same specific problem, but it will show up and feel differently to different people in different roles, in different size businesses, in different industries. It will look a little different. You can't build your category of one where you're talking about something that looks a little different to different people and become memorable, impactful, at least initially. There's a great example of this that somebody brought out a book many years ago. I can't remember the name of it. And the book was very, very successful. And then what they did is they did different versions of the book that was customized to people in different situations. So like the general book was aimed at one group of people, the first book, and then they made different versions of it. It was Rick Warren. That was it. It was called The Purpose-Driven Life. And it was a guy in California who wrote this book, very good book, called The Purpose-Driven Life. And it's actually meant for a religious audience, but then politicians started to read it. So he made The Purpose-Driven Career, The Purpose-Driven Business. He made the same book and adapted his principles, adapted what he was doing into different contexts. Every audience you choose will have the same problem, but in a different context. And if their context of the problem is different, it's almost a different problem. So one problem, one audience, so then you can understand the context of their problem. And you can use that in your, what we're going to do next, what we're going to talk about next, in your content, in your where you present yourself online. You can actually get really specific because you understand not just the problem, but the context of the problem for that particular audience that you've chosen. So pillar number 2 of this is the audience, one audience. Pillar number 3, and this is very, very important, for a number of reasons, is what's your IP, your proprietary method framework of how you solve this problem? What's your approach that needs to happen? What's the step-by-step way that you get people to a result? And I'm not just talking about, oh, well, I give them 12 sessions. I mean, what's your methodology? What's your approach to taking somebody from living in the problem to a new reality? What's the journey they have to go on? And document that process. You see, people do buy outcomes. It's true. They buy outcomes. They want to solve a problem and get to an end result. But they buy the certainty of that path. So one of the ways that we think of certainty is, testimonials. Great. But one of the biggest things is that they can see your process, your methodology, and it makes sense to them. That they can go, I'm in this problem. This is your methodology. I can see how step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 compounds to get me to the end result. So without this kind of methodology, you're actually you're just promising something and putting a load of deliverables in there. It's like me saying, I'm going to make you sales, right? You're not struggling with sales. I'm going to make you sales. And you say, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to write copy for you. I'm going to do 3 hours of graphic design work. I'm going to do one-to-one sessions with you. And you go, okay, I can see you're putting effort in here, but I don't know how that all joins up into a cohesive plan to actually get the result. That's your methodology. Your methodology actually gives people clarity on how likely it is for them to go from problem to result. One other thing that's really important about your methodology as well is it actually becomes a big differentiator. If and a lot of people go into social media and they start promoting themselves, and they're not really promoting themselves. They're promoting what they do. Oh, I'm an executive coach, and executive coaching is brilliant for you because it does this. Right? Everybody's saying stuff like that. Your lawyers are doing that. Your consultants are doing that. Everybody will say, oh, we're great at this. Instead, what you want to do is put your methodology on a pedestal. And I say it like this, raise it up and say, this thing is incredible because of how it works. And don't necessarily teach people how to deploy it. Teach people why it matters. Which leads me into the offer. Your offer is the service that helps people implement that. Whether that be coaching, whether that be some kind of technology or software, whether that be a consultancy package, whatever you're doing, whether it be a physical product, you now have to package your offer into something that people can buy. Now, a lot of people make a mistake here of going, well, everybody's a bit different and they may need to want something different. If I build an offer, what if they don't want that offer? No. You can't react to the market. You can't say, well, I'll build something based on what people tell me they want and then change it. You need to go to market with a box, with a price tag on it, with 4 corners, and you can explain what it is, why it matters, the difference it's going to make. You can show other people have bought it and got results. You need a service to sell for your own mental clarity, but also for your audience's clarity. They need to understand what they're buying, and you need to get it out there. And people don't buy because they saw your offer once. They buy because they've saw it multiple times and they've seen you talk about it. They've seen it advertised. They've seen all that stuff. So you need an offer, a viable offer that tells people this is what it is. This is what you get. This is what it'll do for you. You just need that. It can be a landing page. It can be a PDF, but you've got to have it out there. If it's not out there, you are basically leaving people kind of clueless about what you do. And then all of that, the problem, the audience, the approach, the offer, all of that goes into a melting pot now of your message. And your message is a consistent message that aligns all of that stuff together, but it adds in there things that you strongly believe, which obviously are consistent with your methodology. Strongly have your perspective in there and have your personality in there. What do you dislike? What are the things that your methodology tells people that aren't important? What are the key things that are important that they're missing? Your message revolves around the problem, the outcome of the service, the delivery, how the world changes, and the methodology. And I said earlier, you need to be teaching your methodology of why it's important, because without that, people won't get it. So your message is basically the city on a hill, the light shining there, showing them that this is the way. And you need to deliver it with conviction. If you genuinely believe that your method and approach will solve somebody's problem and get them to a better place, either in their life, career, or business, why would you not be confident about it? Why would you not think about it and go, I'm helping people change their lives, change their business, change their careers? Why would you not be bold about it? Why would you not challenge things? Your message is the most important thing, and you should be confident in it and have conviction in it. If you look at all of the people who've achieved great things, they backed themselves and they backed their ideas. And almost delusionally, you need to do that. You don't have to be the best marketer if you have conviction. You do not need to be the best marketer if you have a methodology. You do not need to be the best marketer or salesperson if you have a clear problem that you know you can solve and a clear audience. You just need to understand them and strongly stand behind your beliefs about the problem, the outcome, the audience. So all of this what this does is, if you're showing up with this conviction, you're sharing that kind of unfiltered perspective, you're going to build huge and deep trust. Yeah. Before they ever jump on a call with you, they'll be able to understand your methodology, why you do what you do, why it all matters. Everything about what you do is going to be very, very clear. And now what you're doing is putting out into the world a clear, distinctive offer, clear, distinctive brand, clear, distinctive message that will appeal to the very people who have the problem. That is key to be able to convert with a small audience. That will give you the high conversion rate you want, which means you have to work less to get the results you want. If you only need, let's think about it like this. If you only need 15 clients in a year, that's 1 and a bit clients a month. Yeah, that's all you need. The answer is not to go, how do I get more and more and more followers? How do I go viral? How do I get more engagement? The key is, how do I dial in everything so that the small group of people who see what I do, actually, oh my God, that's exactly the problem I've got. You're talking about it exactly like I've experienced it. Your case study, your examples, your testimonials, they're all people like me. Oh my God, I need to work with you. That's what you want. Because then people come to the calls pre-sold. Then people come and inquire with you already knowing so much about how you can make a difference for them that it gets easier. So why don't we do this? Because I bet you any money, a lot of you listening to me already know this. But why don't we do it? Fear. Fear. We're afraid we might pick the wrong problem. We're afraid we might pick the wrong audience. We might pick the wrong offer, the methodology. And so what we do is we don't commit to it all. We might commit mentally in a moment, but in our hearts, in that gushy bit that drives us, we haven't really committed. We've said it with our head, but our human nature hasn't committed. And so when it comes to actually doing it, we won't, or we don't, or we half-bake it. We do it half-heartedly. And so we never feel the full benefit of it. We never say, do you know what, I'm going to commit to that, and then go, no, I'm not committing to it. I'm going to do something different. We just literally make a mental decision, like, I'm going to get fit and healthy in 2026. And we say that on New Year's Eve as a New Year's resolution. But actually, the way we do things, the way we live our lives, our mentality, our mindset, all of that has not changed. And so we make a mental commitment with our logic center, but our instinctive human nature has not made that same commitment, and we just don't do it.